Casinos pull in billions every year, but there are specific moves players make that absolutely drive them insane. Today we're breaking down 7 strategies casinos genuinely hate, from simple tactics anyone can use to advanced plays that could get you permanently banned. Let's dive in. Look, casinos aren't charities. Every game, every promotion, every free drink, it's all engineered to tilt the odds in their favor, but some players have figured out how to flip the script. These aren't cheaters, they're just smarter about how they play. And trust me, the house notices. Number 1, staying sober while everyone else drinks. Free drinks are one of the most advertised perks in any casino, but here's what they don't advertise. There's a reason they're free. Alcohol clouds judgment, increases risk-taking, and makes people impulsive. A drunk player bets bigger, plays longer, and makes more mistakes. They chase losses, ignore strategy, and fall for sucker bets. Sober players, they're the casino's nightmare. You stay sharp, you stick to your plan, you recognize when it's time to walk away, you calculate odds correctly, and don't get swept up in the noise. That's why cocktail servers circle constantly. The casino wants you drinking. The more you drink, the more you lose. So one of the simplest advantage plays? Just say no. Keep your head clear and save the celebration for after you leave. Casinos absolutely notice disciplined, sober players, and they know these are the ones walking out with their money. Number 2, only playing low house edge games. Every casino game has a built-in mathematical edge for the house. Smart players only touch the games where that edge is razor thin. Blackjack with basic strategy, about 0.5% house edge. Baccarat's banker bet, around 1.06%. Craps pass line, 1.41%. Compare that to slots at 5 to 15%, or American roulette at 5.26%. Disciplined players avoid the flashy machines, the spinning wheels, and the gimmicky side bets. They play straightforward blackjack or baccarat, make mathematically optimal bets, and give the casino the smallest possible edge. From the casino's perspective, these players are barely profitable. Sure, the house still wins long term, but it takes forever and the margins are thin. That's why they push high-edge games with lights, sounds, and spectacle. They're trying to lure you away from the smart plays. Number 3, setting hard limits and actually leaving. The casino's entire business model depends on you staying as long as possible. The longer you play, the more the house edge grinds you down. Eventually, probability ensures they win. That's why they hate players who set strict limits and actually follow through. Smart players decide before they even start. I'm spending $200 or playing for 2 hours, whichever comes first. Even better, they set win goals. If I'm up $100, I'm out. And here's the key, they don't negotiate with themselves. When they hit their limit, they cash out. No exceptions. Casinos design everything to prevent this. No clocks on the walls, no windows, free drinks to lower your inhibitions, comfortable chairs to keep you seated. The exit is always buried deep, far from the gaming floor. They make it psychologically brutal to leave, especially when you're winning. The most dangerous thought in gambling, just one more hand. Players who can walk away are the casino's worst enemy because they're the ones most likely to leave with the house's money. Number 4, bonus hunting like a professional. Casinos offer promotions to attract customers, but they absolutely despise when you use them strategically. Most players grab the welcome bonus, burn through it, and keep gambling until they lose everything. But sharp players do something different. They hunt bonuses with surgical precision. Here's how professional bonus hunting works. Sign up for a casino's welcome offer, play exactly the minimum required to clear the bonus requirements, then cash out and move on. If a casino offers $50 in free play with a 1x playthrough, the advantage player uses that $50 on the absolute lowest house edge game available, usually blackjack or certain video poker variants, to maximize expected value. Let's break down a real example. Say an online casino offers a $200 match bonus with 20x wagering requirements. That means you need to wager $4,000 before you can withdraw. Most recreational players see this as an invitation to play slots for hours until they've lost everything, but a bonus hunter calculates the expected loss on that $4,000 in action. If they play blackjack with a 0.5% house edge, their expected loss is only $20 on that $4,000 wagering requirement. They've essentially converted a $200 bonus into $180 of real withdrawable cash. Do this across 10 different casinos and you've made $1,800. Some dedicated players literally travel from casino to casino collecting different sign-up bonuses. I've heard of players in Las Vegas who hit every property on the strip in a single weekend, grabbing new player promotions, clearing the minimum playthrough, and cashing out. One guy I know keeps a spreadsheet of every casino within a 3-hour drive and rotates through them systematically. Online casinos struggle with this even more intensely. They're in fierce competition with each other, so they offer increasingly generous bonuses to attract players. But professional bonus hunters, sometimes called bonus whores in gambling forums, have turned this into a legitimate income stream. They create accounts, clear bonuses, withdraw, and move to the next site. Casinos have fought back aggressively. They've added more restrictive terms and conditions, implemented higher wagering requirements, excluded certain games from bonus play, and built sophisticated tracking systems to identify bonus hunters. They look for patterns, players who only appear during promotions, who play the minimum required and immediately cash out, who never return after claiming their bonus. If you're flagged as a bonus hunter, several things happen. First, your account might be restricted from future promotions. Second, you might find withdrawal requests heavily scrutinized or delayed. Third, and most damaging, you'll be blacklisted from the good offers. The casino will still let you play, they'll happily take your money, but you won't see those juicy deposit matches anymore. But here's the thing, for players who know how to work the system, it's essentially free money while it lasts. You're not cheating, you're not breaking any rules, you're simply using the promotions exactly as offered, just more intelligently than the casino hoped. Have you ever taken advantage of a casino promotion and actually walked away ahead? Number 5. Card counting at Blackjack. Card counting is the most famous advantage play technique in gambling history, and casinos absolutely despise it. Here's the fundamental concept. You track the ratio of high cards to low cards remaining in the deck. When the remaining cards are rich in tens and aces, the odds shift in your favor, so you increase your bet substantially. When the deck is poor and filled with small cards, you bet the table minimum or walk away. The most common system is high-low counting. You assign +1 to cards 2 through 6, -1 to tens and aces, and 0 to 7 through 9. As each card is dealt, you adjust your running count. A positive count means the deck favors the player. A negative count favors the house. But there's more nuance to it. You need to convert the running count to a true count by dividing by the number of decks remaining. If your running count is +6 and there are 3 decks left, your true count is +2. This gives you a more accurate picture of your actual advantage. When the true count reaches +2 or higher, you have a genuine mathematical edge over the casino. At +3, skilled counters might bet 4 to 6 times their minimum. At +5 or higher, they're pushing out maximum bets because the deck is absolutely loaded in their favor. The famous MIT Blackjack team used this technique to win millions in the 1990s. They operated with military precision, spotters at tables tracking counts, big players sweeping in when signaled, and a carefully managed bankroll spread across team members. They treated it like a business because that's exactly what it was. And here's the crucial thing, card counting is completely legal. You're not using devices, you're not marking cards, you're not cheating in any way. You're simply using your brain to process publicly visible information and making betting decisions based on mathematical probability. But here's where casinos push back hard. They're private property, and they reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. If they suspect you're counting, the countermeasures come fast. They'll shuffle more frequently, sometimes after every hand if they're really suspicious. They'll change dealers mid-shoe. They'll have pit bosses watch your every move. And ultimately, they'll ask you to leave or ban you outright. What's really interesting is how they identify counters. They watch for bet spreading. Someone who bets $10 for several hands and then suddenly jumps to $200. They look for players who seem distracted, watching cards carefully rather than just playing casually. They notice when you leave a table right after a shuffle, a telltale sign of a counter who's waiting for favorable counts. Some casinos even share databases of known card counters through services like Biometrica or the Griffin Agency. Get identified once, and your photo circulates to casinos nationwide. You might walk into a property you've never visited and find yourself backed off immediately. So while you won't get arrested, card counting isn't a crime. You might find yourself unwelcome at casinos across the entire country. Some professional counters have been banned from dozens of properties. They resort to disguises, playing with teams, or finding smaller casinos with less sophisticated surveillance. And that's exactly why casinos hate it so much. It works, it's legal, and there's fundamentally nothing they can do except refuse to let you play. It's one of the few ways a skilled player can actually gain a mathematical edge over the house. Number 6. Playing slowly and betting minimum. Casinos make money through volume and velocity. More hands dealt per hour, higher bets, faster turnover. That's how they maximize profit. So they absolutely hate slow minimum bet players who gum up the works. Let's break down the mathematics. If the house edge on a game is 1% and you're betting $10 per hand, the casino's expected profit is 10 cents per hand. Doesn't sound like much, right? But multiply that across time. At 60 hands per hour, that's $6 per hour in expected profit. Multiply that by 8 hours of play, and they're making $48 off you. Across 100 players, that's real money. But if you play slowly, taking your time with every decision, chatting with other players, asking the dealer questions, taking bathroom breaks, checking your phone, maybe only 30 hands get dealt per hour. Now the casino's expected profit is cut in half. Instead of $48 for your 8-hour session, they're making $24. You've literally cost them half their expected revenue just by slowing down. And minimum bets, that's even worse from their perspective. High rollers betting hundreds or thousands of dollars per hand generate massive profits even with a tiny house edge. A whale betting $500 per hand at that same 1% edge generates $5 per hand in expected profit. That's $300 per hour. Those are the players casinos love, the ones they comp suites and flights and show tickets for. Minimum bettors? At $10 per hand, you're generating $6 per hour. You're barely worth the dealer's salary. You're taking up a seat that could be occupied by a bigger bettor. You're consuming casino resources, floor space, dealer time, surveillance attention for minimal return. Casinos want fast action and big bets. They want that roulette wheel spinning constantly, those dice flying, those cards being dealt at maximum speed. That's why they train dealers to deal quickly, why they encourage rapid play, why they make players feel rushed. That's also why they absolutely despise players who deliberately slow the game down. Players who take forever to make simple decisions. Players who ask to see the discard pile repeatedly. Players who engage the dealer in long conversations. Players who somehow turn blackjack into a slow, grinding affair. Some casinos have even implemented policies specifically targeting slow play. They'll ask you to speed up. They'll assign a pit boss to watch you. In extreme cases, they might ask you to leave for disrupting the flow of the game. It sounds absurd, but it happens. And here's the sneaky advantage of slow play combined with minimum bets. You're extending your playing time while minimizing losses. If you brought $200 to the casino and you're betting $10 per hand, playing slowly means you can potentially play all night. Meanwhile, the fast player next to you betting $25 per hand burns through their bankroll in an hour and either reloads or leaves. The slow minimum bettor gets hours of entertainment free, drinks, and minimal expected loss. The casino? They get almost nothing. No wonder they hate it. Number 7. Team play and coordinated signaling. Team play takes advantage play to an entirely different level, and casinos absolutely despise it because it's both highly effective and incredibly difficult to stop. The most famous example is the Blackjack team strategy, perfected by groups like the MIT Blackjack team. Here's how the classic structure works. One player acts as a spotter. This person sits at a blackjack table, betting table minimum, usually $10 or $25, and counts cards meticulously. They're not there to win money, they're there to gather information. When the count becomes significantly favorable, say a true count of +4 or higher, the spotter signals a big player. The signal might be something subtle, adjusting their chips in a certain way, scratching their ear, saying a specific phrase. The big player, who's been wandering the casino appearing casual, immediately sits down at that table. To the casino, the big player looks like a reckless high roller who just randomly chose a table. They start betting big immediately, maybe $500 or $1,000 per hand right out of the gate. The casino doesn't see them counting because they literally just sat down. They appear to be a gambler with money to burn. Meanwhile, the spotter continues playing minimum bets and maintaining the count. If the count drops, they signal the big player to leave. The big player cashes out, wanders off, and waits for the next signal from a different spotter at a different table. This technique allows teams to maximize profits while minimizing heat and suspicion. The spotters look like small-time recreational players. The big players look like wealthy gamblers making large, seemingly random bets. The casino's surveillance system is designed to catch individual card counters who vary their bets at a single table, but this team approach completely circumvents that detection method. The MIT Blackjack team reportedly won over $10 million using variations of this strategy. They operated with remarkable sophistication, multiple spotters across different tables, several big players ready to deploy. A team bankroll carefully managed to handle variance and detailed record keeping to track results and refine their approach. But it's not just blackjack. Poker teams use coordinated strategies too, though this ventures into ethically murky territory. Players at the same table might soft play against each other, not raising when they normally would to preserve a teammate's chips. They might share information through signals about their hole cards. They might coordinate to trap and extract maximum value from non-team players. Some of this crosses into actual cheating, which is why poker rooms have strict rules against collusion. Roulette teams have used computers or studied wheel biases together. There have been famous cases of teams using hidden computers, though this is illegal, to predict where the ball would land based on the wheel's speed and the ball's initial velocity. Other teams have simply studied wheels extensively to find mechanical biases, then exploited those biases collectively. The key element in all team play is coordination and signaling. Teams can accomplish what individual players simply cannot. They can cover more tables simultaneously, spreading their intelligence network across the entire casino floor. They can share bankrolls, which smooths out variance and allows for more aggressive betting. They can deploy sophisticated strategies that would be impossible for a solo player to execute. And critically, teams can employ role specialization. Some players are excellent at counting but uncomfortable with large bets and scrutiny. They become spotters. Others are charismatic and can play the role of high roller convincingly. They become big players. Some are good at managing money and risk. They become bankroll managers. This division of labor makes the team far more effective than the sum of its individual parts. Now, here's the tricky part legally. All of this is technically legal. There's no law against people working together to play casino games. There's no law against signaling to your friends. You're not physically cheating, not marking cards, not using devices in most cases, not doing anything actually fraudulent, but casinos will absolutely ban entire teams if they identify the coordination, and they're very good at it. They watch for patterns, players who seem to know each other but pretend not to, big players who only sit down at certain tables after a signal, spotters who leave tables shortly after big players depart. Modern casinos share information about known teams through industry databases and security networks. They circulate photos, descriptions, and known associates. Some casinos employ former advantage players as consultants specifically to identify team play tactics. Once you're identified as part of an advantage play team, you're finished, not just at that one casino, but potentially across the entire industry. Your photo goes into a database. Sister properties get notified. Other casinos in the region get tipped off. You might find yourself backed off from a casino you've never even visited because they recognized you from a shared database. The MIT Blackjack team eventually couldn't play anywhere in Las Vegas. They had to travel to smaller markets, use elaborate disguises, or recruit new members whose faces weren't known. Some team members were literally banned for life from every major casino in Nevada. And this is precisely why casinos hate team play so intensely. It works. It's extremely effective when executed properly. It's technically legal, so they can't have you arrested. The only recourse they have is banning you from their private property. And even that becomes a cat and mouse game as teams recruit new members and develop new tactics. Team play represents the ultimate evolution of advantage play. Organized, sophisticated, and devastatingly effective. And casinos know it. That's why it tops the list of strategies they genuinely despise. So there you have it, 7 strategies casinos genuinely hate. Some are simple, like staying sober and setting limits. Others are advanced, like card counting and team play. But they all have one thing in common. They shift the odds even slightly back in your favor. And casinos, they absolutely hate that. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more casino strategy breakdowns. Now here's my question for you. Which of these strategies have you actually tried and did the casino notice?